Let me check a few things to make sure we're actually live, and then I'll be right back with you. All right, yes, here we are. We are live. Okay, I got one of the platforms live. Let me check this, make sure it's working. All right, so there's one platform that's live. Let me check one more. This is going to be interesting because what I'm doing is, yes. Let me check this one to see if this one's live. Different platforms, make sure we're going. Yes, I think everything looks good. All right, so far we got two that we're going live on. And let me check one more. Yes. All right, we're testing 1, 2, 3. I'm testing some more. Here we go. Testing some more internet connections and equipment for today. Just like I've been doing for the last couple of days. This is for NAB when I go live streaming. So I'm going to, here we go. All right, so it's working. I'm really very pleased with this. This is the mobile setup that I'll be using. Today I'm going to test two microphones, my wireless lapel, which I'm talking on now, and also I have a small shotgun that's going to be mounted on the camera that I'm going to be switching back and forth to. Let me just do a couple of things real quick. I'm going to copy and paste this into a couple of different groups. And then I got some NAB news, a couple of things that have happened since the last time I talked to you, which was yesterday. And some other things, some tips and things that's for NAB. If you have any tips for NAB, put them in one of the comments, one of the places. Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, and I'll try to get to them the best I can. I have to monitor, obviously, different places. Let me just check this. Yeah, it's actually live. That's pretty cool. So look what we got. I have a countdown clock. I don't know if you can see that or not, but it's 4 days. 4 days to NAB. Next Tuesday, next Monday, 10 o'clock in the morning is when the floor opens up. I'll be there on Sunday, and I'm going to the Content Creators Celebration Sunday about 6:30 or so. So I'll be reporting from the floor a little bit early from the convention center, but it's not going to be open. It's just going to be some people hanging around for classes and stuff. I'll be right with you. Just 1 second here. I'm going to post this in a few places. And then we'll get started. Let me see. Edit post. It takes just a minute. Because this is exactly what I'll be doing when I'm streaming from the show floor. I have to do the same kind of things. NAB 2019, that's what we're going to be talking about. Equipment and stuff. me see if I can put a C in there. Yeah, that looks like something. Copy, save, there we go. So there's some interesting news that has come out last couple of days. Shogun has a new monitor recorder, from what I understand. We'll talk about that in a minute. And then Rode has these little teeny wireless microphone receiver transmitter they just came out with. And I'll be interested in that. I'm always looking for a second setup compared to, I have a Sony setup now, wireless I've had for years, 10, 15 years. And it's been really good to me, so I use that. Because one of the things I like about the Sony is I have two transmitters. One's an XLR box that can plug directly into a microphone, or I can plug it directly into a mixing board, and I can get a board feed to go to the recorder, whatever I do. So that's one of the reasons I bought that one. But this new one from Rode, we'll talk about in a minute, it's $200 for both the receiver and the transmitter. So that's pretty cool. That's a good price point, and it's a digital one. It's got some interesting features. Let's look at it real quick. So here it is on B&H. This is actually the transmitter and receiver. Now, the interesting thing about the transmitter is that's how small they are. The interesting thing about the transmitter is it has a built-in microphone. You can use a lapel microphone like I have here, but it also has a built-in microphone. So you can just take it, if you don't have a microphone or you got something quick, just take it and clip it on somebody and you're all set up. Put it in a place like this, for example. $200, it's available for pre-order at B&H. I've put in a request stock alert, so when they come in, once the real world reviews come out on YouTube, to see the distance that it covers, the sound quality, that's going to be important. You know, how far you can go before it starts dropping signals and stuff. So that's pretty interesting. What else do we have? Atomos launches the new, Atomos launches the Shogun 7 1500 nit monitor recorder switcher. That's just been announced. It's interesting all these companies are announcing prior to NAB. So the interesting thing is it says 1920 by 1200 resolution screen with 15 plus stops of dynamic range. And it records, let me see. It records images up to 5.7K P30, 4K P120, 2K P240 from compatible cameras in RAW, log, or HDL, PQ over SDI or HDMI. So I'd be interested in some of the HDI stuff. HDMI 2.0 it requires. And it records to Apple ProRes RAW. That would be the one that I'd be interested in. I'm not going to be, it also records in Adobe DNG RAW and some other issues. So that's just been announced. It's got a little audio mixer, which I really like, built in. Let's see here. All right, I'm just checking and make sure we are. Yeah, we are. We're live. Make sure we remain live. So one of the things that I'm going to talk about, let me just go over my notes here. So I'm testing out, so this is the main mic that I'll be using. Like I said, when I'm talking to everybody, this is a lapel, it's wireless. I don't have to worry about cables or anything. Now I'm going to switch over to the camera mounted shotgun. It's a small shotgun. It's not the handheld shotgun that I use, the Sennheiser that I'll be using. Actually, you know what? I think that's already been on. Huh. Let me see. All right, that's interesting. I'm going to switch over just to the shotgun. Now this is the shotgun. I'm close enough. Usually it sounds pretty good. Let me listen to that real quick here. See what this one sounds like, just a shotgun. I'm going to switch over just to the shotgun. So the shotgun is it's an SE electronics I've had for years. It takes one battery. Close enough. Usually it sounds pretty good. Let me listen to that real quick here. See what this one sounds like, just a shotgun. Yeah, it's working. It's working. Because sometimes I might be using that shotgun. That's one of the 5 that I'll be using. I have a bunch of other ones that I will be testing out. Let me go back to the wireless lapel. Make sure the wireless lapel is still working. Let me just make sure that's still working. It should be. I haven't turned it off yet. Let me just check it. So I have 5 different mics that I'll be using. I got to check, always monitor and make sure the audio is still working. Sometimes the audio has issues. Yep, it's still working. Everything's still working there. So one of the questions that I have 5 different mics that I use. I have some wired lapels, like if I'm in the hotel room, I'll be using maybe a wired lapel into my system. I have a mobile shotgun that I have on top of the camera. And then I have this wireless with the body pack. And then I have a handheld Sennheiser medium shotgun that I'll be using in the NAB show floor if I'm going to be interviewing somebody, so I can go back and forth without getting them mic'd up, because it's going to be, NAB is a madhouse, 100,000 people, can you imagine, in one location. So that's one of the things that I'll be doing. But one of the things I wanted to ask you is, which platform do you prefer to watch live streams? YouTube, Facebook, or Periscope/Twitter? Because I'm on all 3. I'm just curious which ones you prefer. I don't know which one. I think YouTube is fine for me. Facebook is fine. All 3 of them are fine. I watch videos, live videos, on all 3 platforms, so I don't really have a preference. The good thing about, I think you can subscribe on all 3 to be notified when I go live. I'm pretty sure that's the way it works. All right, so one of the things that I'm doing, there's been people that have tips about NAB. I've had a few. Bill Davis has been on the last couple of days. He's shared a few. One of the tips was from Michael Kamas, which is very true. If you have a new pair of shoes, start wearing them now. Don't wear them the first day of NAB. Break them in before you get to NAB. So I got a pair of shoes that are fairly new that I'm going to try out for the next couple of days, and if I like them, I'll wear them. I like the way they look, so that's a plus. I have 4 or 5 different pair of running shoes that I use. I run in the mornings. I get up early, 4:30, 5 o'clock, have coffee, feed the cats, and then I'm out the door running for a couple of miles every morning. So that part's not a problem. And I just got a pair of Dr. Scholl's insoles just to add a little extra cushion for NAB. So one of the things about NAB and streaming is I need to have an internet connection. Now last year at Faster Together stage, they had Faster Together workflow suite, which was next door to the stage. I streamed from there quite a bit. Now you can't forget their wireless setup. It's horrible. You can barely text on it, so it's not very, there's not much bandwidth or anything, so you can't use that. So I'm using my iPhone as a hotspot. I've been saving the cell data all month so I could use it all at NAB. I think I have about 20 gigabytes I can use. So I'll be using that. The Faster Together workflow suite. I'll post some of those videos up today and tomorrow. Even though I have that, and a lot of times it said I had 2, 3, or 4 bars, it wouldn't connect. You just have to wait till it actually connects. Even though it says it has bars, it still doesn't connect. I guess the cell towers are just completely overloaded. So another tip that I'll recommend is if you're bringing a laptop or you're bringing your iPad or you're bringing your iPhone, clear the storage on all those. Take pictures off, take videos off so you have lots of storage for the iPhone, because it takes hours to do that. I'm doing that right now for my MacBook Pro and my iPhone. I'll be doing that over the next couple of days. I'm not the kind of person that likes to rush at the last minute. I'll do it if I have to, but I don't have to. I'm working today and tomorrow to get everything ready. I've started packing my suitcase. My suitcase has more electronics than it does clothes, I swear. I mean, I bring clothes too, but I bring all kind of wires and gizmos and batteries and all kinds of things in the suitcase. Sunday, when I arrive, I'm arriving at Las Vegas in the morning. I can't check into my hotel, I don't think, till like afternoon sometime, so I'll go get something to eat and start streaming just so you can get used to watching or whatever. I can check the internet connections. I'll start streaming in the morning. Once I get breakfast, once I check into the hotel, I'll head down to the convention center just to get the feel of the monorail. I've never been on the actual monorail in Las Vegas. I've traveled metros for 20 years down in DC, and I've been on this London tube system, and I've been in New York's and stuff, so I've never been on the monorail. So I'll check that system out after I check into the hotel and after I have breakfast. I'm going to stop and have breakfast before I head out. So that's always important to check that out. They have a Las Vegas monorail has a special price, 20-30% off. You buy it in advance. And I guess you just show them. I have a printout, but I guess you have something to show them on the phone, a barcode or whatever you can punch in there, and that'll let you go through. One of the other tips, if you have your boarding pass for your plane and you have things on your iPhone, still print out a copy. I always have multiple copies, especially my boarding pass for the airplane. Physical printout I keep in my knapsack, plus pictures on the phone. But if your phone went dead, your phone got stolen, you don't have them. So I always keep both for important documents and all. So the first stream of NAB doesn't open up till Monday morning at 10 a.m. I'm not going to be worried about getting in there exactly at 10:01 because it's going to be probably super crowded. So I might get there at 10:15 or 10:30, whatever. I'm not going to be in the cattle herd that just rushes through if there is one. I'll wait a little bit. So let me see if there's any notes anywhere. Any comments? Here we go. So I'm going to have different places you can keep track of what's going on. I have a blog over at FCPRadio.com. Just go to the main page. Let me do that real quick. Go to the main page. Oops. And there's a link first link right there. NAB, Final Cut Pro and NAB 2019 news. Just click on that right on the main page, and it'll take you to the blog. So the blog is more of a text-based thing. I do have a counter up there, as you can see. It's 4 hours 4 days. I have a video that Bill and I did the other day, and I have just different things. I have a map, some links to some maps. I have links to some evening events that are going to be happening. I have a special map. So there's 2 announcements that are Final Cut Pro related that could happen at NAB. Number 1 is a ProRes RAW update. They introduced it last year, and it's a pretty big deal at NAB. It really was. But it's stifled since then. It hasn't expanded at all. It was only DJI drone, one of their drones, cameras had it, which is good because that means the ProRes RAW can be recorded in camera, which is important for me. Of course you have it. So the other thing about Final Cut Pro that might be announced at NAB, because they've done it for the last 2 years, is the new Final Cut Pro install base numbers. 2 years ago, 2017, they announced over 2 million seats. Last year, they announced 2.5 million. That's 500,000 in a year plus installed seats of Final Cut Pro. And they said this version of Final Cut now has increased more than any version of Final Cut prior, and as far as the amount of new users versus, like 1 year. So this year, I'm sure we can expect 3 million, 3.5 million, whatever. But I don't know if they're going to announce it. Apple might announce it. Who knows? They might announce it. The Final Cut Pro team, the Final Cut Pro Apps marketing team will be at NAB, but there's no official presentation. They already gave us the Legacy Media update a couple weeks ago. So that alleviates any idea that there's going to be a Final Cut Pro presentation. There's been none announced, so I don't think there's going to be any officially, so that's cool. So what else do we have? So I have a map of Las Vegas with a bunch of things highlighted, places of interest, the monorail itself, and then of course Las Vegas Convention Center, their Peppermill, and the Rio Hotel, so you can kind of get an idea how things are laid out there. Once again, that's at FCPRadio.com. That's where you'd want to go. Let's see how we're doing. No, that's not too bad. So that's one of the other things I'm on a group for the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit, and somebody asked if there's going to be a Final Cut Pro Creative Summit number 5 in 2019. The answer is yes. They've already announced it. If you go to FCPXCreativeSummit.com, they have a placeholder there that says there will indeed be a 2019 5th version of the Final Cut Pro Creative Summit. Now, one of the interesting things about the summit, besides the classes, okay, you get to learn from top-notch Final Cut Pro and Motion people. Besides the classes, they have classes all day Saturday and Sunday. Friday is the big day. Last year, we went out to a country club. Future Media Concepts provided lunch for everybody, a very nice place. And we had presentations there from different people. Sam Messman, Philip Hodgetts from Lumberjack Systems. Justine was the keynote speaker. She gave a presentation, a very nice one. I recorded that, by the way. I'll put that out as we get closer to the Creative Summit next fall. There'll be an announcement most likely around May or June as far as the dates go. Interesting. So here we go. So what else do we have to cover here? I'm going to do a couple more things. So if you're going to NAB and you have any tips, put them in the comments so I can pass them along. Sunday, I'll be going to the Content Creators Celebration in the Las Vegas Convention Center, South Hall Meeting Rooms, South 222 and South 223. I think those are where they've had the Apple presentations in the past. last 2 years Apple has done presentations about Final Cut Pro in the same area. I'm pretty sure it is. So that's Sunday night. There's also some other things. The Colorist Mixer, I think, is happening on Sunday night. I'll be going to the Content Creator Celebration. Jeff Greenberg should be there. Philip Hodges, I think, is going to be there. I'm going to be there. A bunch of people that are associated with teaching classes. Maybe Steve Martin. I think he's teaching for Future Media during the day. On Monday night, Faster Together Party. There's a party that's quasi-public that's going to be held a couple blocks down from the convention center. So you can go to the convention center during the day and walk a couple of blocks down to the Faster Together Party. That used to be the Guru Gathering. This year it's called the Faster Together Party. So it'll be the same place it was last year, but a ballroom this time. Instead of it was kind of like a lobby area last year. It was kind of crowded. This year it's going to be an actual ballroom that you just finished. Night, fastertogether.com. The Faster Together stage will be happening at the Rio. Once again, this is actually replacing the traditional Super Meet. The Super Meet has been held for 17 years. Mike Horton and Dan Berube decided not to do it this year. So LumaForge stepped up to the plate, and they are being the main producers of it. Mike Horton is going to be doing his world famous raffle during there. Michael Cioni is going to be presenting. Stan Messman will be opening the event with comments and a presentation, or comments and a little introduction of probably what he'll be doing. But I have a few free tickets for that. If you want to go to the Faster Together stage or the Faster Together party, contact me. You can contact me via email, richard@fcpradio.com, or private message me on Twitter or whatever. I'm not going to give the information out over the air. But if you're interested in getting free tickets to those, I have a few available that I can pass out. Just contact me and I will see what I can do to get you some. So what I'm going to be doing at NAB is I'm going to provide a virtual window for you to look into NAB and see what's some of the things that are going on. Now, you'll be probably seeing pretty much the exact same thing that I'll be seeing, because I have multiple cameras set up, and I'll switch back and forth between the view of the NAB floor. I also it'll be like generic. I'll be walking around showing what the NAB floor is. I'll be stopping different places and interviewing some people. I have interviews set up already. So I have about 5 or 6 already set up. So we'll be doing that. We'll be doing some actual interviews with people. Now, Final Cut Pro guy, right? Been Final Cut Pro since version 1. So I've been using it for 1999, it came out, or 2000. Let's just say 2000. 19 years I've been using Final Cut Pro. So let's go to the Twitter feed real quick. I'm going to go over there. Some of the comments, let's see what it says. So Justine Robillard, my friend from South Africa, an editor in South Africa, she said she likes Twitter first and YouTube second. She says the shotgun is audible but not as clear, a bit tinny. So anyway, what do we have? I'm going to mention some comments that have been talked about. So I put up a list of places that I'm going to be stopping by. I'll keep it updated. I'm going to stop and see LumaTouch, Filmic Pro, Frame.io, LumaForge is going to be there, Michael Cioni is going to be there. Of course, Blackmagic News, right? How could you not go to Blackmagic News? Stopping at FMC Training, they have a booth there. I've been teaching at Final Cut, Future Media Concepts in DC, Final Cut Pro stuff for a while, off and on. So I'm going to stop by the transcriptive booth, Lumberjack Systems, of course. Coremelt, my friend Roger from Coremelt, I'll be stopping to see him. I've seen him all the last 2 NABs. Late Night Films. Chris Hawking is going to be demonstrating his software at the Faster Together vendor area. They have a vendor area before the show starts at 7. At 4:30, you'll be able to stop in. He's working with tangent panels, the control surfaces for Resolve, for Premiere, for Final Cut Pro, and he has software that works with Final Cut Pro specifically. So let me see what else. I'll also be stopping at Simon Says AI. My friend Mike Matzdorf is involved with them. I'll be seeing LACPUG Mike Horton, of course. And I said, who else should I add? And people have said, and I agree, there are a couple more. Hedge for Mac. Felipe Baez says Hedge for Mac, and I agree. I'll definitely be stopping to see them. Film Convert is another one. It's a very interesting product. I'll be stopping to see Film Convert. So that's like, what, 15 or 20 already that I'll be stopping and talking to. What else? There was a couple more that I've added since then. I'll keep the list updated as I go. I'll put a second version of it up. So let me just check the audio, make sure it's still working. I think it is. It should be fine. What else? There's a couple more that I've added since then. I'll keep the list updated as I go. I'll put a second version of it up. All right, so that's working fine. So if you have any questions, make any comments, I'll do the best I can to keep up with them. I can't guarantee that I can. So let's see what else we have. I'm just checking, make sure everything's streaming. Yeah, it's still streaming. 30 frames per second, 1280 by 720, 4200 kilobits a second. I'm very pleased that this is working as well as it did. Now, like I said, I will be dependent on the internet connection when I'm there. Internet's everything these days, so I will be dependent on that for sure. Anyway, I think that's it for today. I think I've covered just about everything. Go to FCPRadio.com to keep track of the blog. That'll be a text-based thing. Places to watch the video streams, youtube.com/Richard Taylor TV, facebook.com, the same, Richard Taylor TV, and Twitter as well, Richard Taylor TV. There's also a Facebook group, a Final Cut Pro Radio Facebook group that I'll be posting things and people will be able to comment if you like Facebook. And that is Final Cut Pro. It's facebook.com/groups/Final Cut Pro Radio. That's the place to, if you want to comment on Facebook, that's the place to go. Commenting on my main page is not going to work because my main page is not Final Cut Pro related. Battery packs. I keep 2 of these charged up that I can plug my iPhone in or my iPad, but my iPhone mainly. I have 2 iPhones I'll be bringing, one for general use and one for streaming. And battery packs are very important for those because they will run out if you're out for a long day. I'll probably be getting up and getting to the convention center 9 o'clock, 8:30, 9 o'clock every morning, and I'll be out there all day pretty much unless I feel like coming back, taking the monorail back and doing something back at the hotel, or if I'm meeting somebody. I'm not at NAB to meet people for lunch and stuff as much as I am just meeting them on the show floor and at these events at night. That's when I'll be meeting people for the most part. So one of these, I have two different ones, two different brands. I bring these with me everywhere in my backpack. I keep a backpack that I'll be carrying during the day. It has my camera and accessories, microphones. It's not that heavy. My main bag, will, of course, will be back at the hotel where I'm staying. And what else? Anything else? I think that's about it for today. So I appreciate everybody watching, making comments. If you make comments, you can make comments after the fact on YouTube for sure. And probably everywhere. I guess Twitter, everybody, you can leave comments. That'll work. Just check a couple more things. I think we're pretty well caught up. I'll check and see if there's any more comments. I think we're pretty good. So I'm going to be updating my list on Twitter of where I'll be going, who I'm going to be seeing, but that's fine. Now somebody said when I did my list, somebody said something about no Adobe love. Well, I don't know Adobe. I mean, if I go by their booth, sure, I'll stop there, see what's going on, but I don't know Adobe. I haven't used Adobe since the 1990s, ever since Final Cut came out. Two things happened. Adobe dropped Mac support, Adobe Premiere, they dropped Mac support for a couple of years, and Apple came out with Final Cut Pro. Ever since then, I've been using Final Cut Pro. I have used Avid because I had to at a job that I had, but I switched over to Final Cut Pro after a while. So I don't know what to do about Adobe. I'll stop by and see what they're doing, but I don't know the software, like I do Final Cut. Blackmagic, it's going to be a big place. Last year it was like a block, city block. So I'll be stopping at Blackmagic for sure. And a good thing about the Blackmagic booth is Frame.io is there. And LumaForge is going to be presenting at the Frame.io booth, whatever it is. Michael Cioni is going to be presenting there as well. And also my friends from AJA are real close to that same area. So that's like four major things that'll be right in the same area. So that'll be probably one of the first places I go. And I might go there multiple times. I might go there from the beginning because even though Blackmagic has already announced things at NAB, they've announced cameras, they've announced updates to Resolve 15.3, I think. They're probably going to announce Resolve 16. They might have some more hardware surprises. I would not be surprised if they didn't update the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera somehow. I don't know what, but I know they updated it with a new firmware a couple weeks ago that added Blackmagic RAW. But we'll see how that goes. So I'm going to get off here now. I just wanted to test this mobile setup, and it's working. I could not be happier. It's working very, very well. Let me just check one more time, make sure. Make sure everything's, let me just see. Yep, audio's still good. That's interesting. They say the sound is low. I'm not sure. It seems like it is to me too. Yep, audio's still good. But I'm not sure what to do about that. I'll see what I can do. Sometimes the audio is low. Let me see. Everything's turned up there. I'm not sure. Let me try something while I've got you here. Let me try another microphone real quick and see if that microphone is louder. I'll be right back. This is exactly why I test these things. I'm gonna switch microphones to a wired lapel. Now, tell me if that's louder. This is a wired lapel. I guess I'll be able to hear myself. Now. Oh, it is louder. It's dramatically louder. So maybe I'll have to do a wired one instead of the wireless. I guess I'll be able to hear myself. So we have a couple comments on YouTube. It's dramatically louder. So maybe I'll have to do a wired one instead of the wireless. So yeah, much better. Restaurant which says picture perfect, sound low, sound a little low, both in YouTube and Facebook. So that's Tony's, not Tony. Torgrim Grimstad said that. So it's twice as good. So maybe I'll have to, this is why I'm doing the test. This is exactly why I'm doing the test. As long as I'm standing close to the camera, maybe I'll just use the wired one then instead of the wires. But I don't know why, because I usually get a good sound with the wireless. Maybe I have a setting wrong or something. Oh, you know what it is, I bet? No, that's not it. Yes, maybe that's what I know what it is. Let me just check something real quick. No, it says on the mic. The attenuation is 0. So it's not being attenuated. It's got the mic. It's interesting. But anyway, if the wired one is louder, that's what I'll use. I don't think there's any other setting, but I will check. I certainly will check. And if this one, I got two of them. If this one, if the wire